Hello, I'm Marie DeCatsye, Chief Executive Officer of Canopy Realtor Association, Canopy MLS, and the Canopy Housing Foundation. And it is my pleasure to host this edition of Inside the Canopy Files, with a focus on Canopy Real Estate Institute, which is the official school of real estate for the association. I would like to start our podcast with some history. Canopy Real Estate Institute, which was formerly the Mingle School of Real Estate, has a long and rich history. The school was founded in 1972 by Vane and Margaret Mingle and is one of the oldest and most successful continuously operating real estate schools in North Carolina. In the early days, the school began as a single review course in Raleigh for the North Carolina Real Estate Licensing Exam. Bemis Lawrence and Vane Mingle, who served as the association's first executive officer in the late 50s and early 60s, taught the course. The association bought the school in 1993, moved it from Raleigh to Charlotte, and retained the Mingle School of Real Estate name for more than 20 years. In 2019, the name changed to Canopy Real Estate Institute as part of the rebranding of the association and its entities under the Canopy umbrella. Since the early 90s, the Institute has offered pre- and post-licensing classes, continuing education, designation, and certification courses for people seeking to begin or advance their real estate careers in North and South Carolina. The Institute takes pride in an engaged staff and accomplished instructors who are successful real estate professionals teaching classes weekdays, evenings, and weekends to meet the needs of today's students with a focus on convenience. Classes are held in Canopy's state-of-the-art technology-equipped classrooms at Canopy Realtor Association headquarters, which opened in 2019 in Midtown Charlotte. During the pandemic, the Institute began online class instruction, and now students can opt for either in-person or online classes. Canopy Real Estate Institute continues to refine and elevate the student experience. Joining me today for this conversation is LaToya Simms, the director of Canopy Real Estate Institute, to discuss all things new at the Institute. LaToya, thanks so much for being here with me. I want to let our audience get to know you a little better. So let's talk about you and your path to Canopy and what new students and brokers can look forward to at Canopy Real Estate Institute, or CREI for short. So when did you join Canopy, and what were you doing prior to becoming the director of CREI?
Hi, Marie, and thanks for having me. What I was doing prior to joining Canopy, I joined in March of 2022. So I've been here a year, actually. Yeah, a year. Woo, I made it. Prior to that, I worked at the Real Estate Commission for probably over 22 years. And then I left there and decided to venture out. I was an education consultant. So I worked with a lot of the schools that offered real estate education in North Carolina, and I helped them transition during a time where COVID hit. I also served as a broker with KW Elite Realty out of Durham. I worked also as a speaker. So I would work a lot with agent development and training. So I would go to different firms. Firms would hire me to come in and speak to new and seasoned agents about changes that have occurred in the industry with things like the Working with Real Estate Agents disclosure form that had changed. And I would speak to them about professional development, image development, working with buyers and sellers, agency, code of ethics, things like that. So I worked on that, as well as for over 20 years, I had a media support services group for TV and entertainment professionals and commercial. So I worked in the commercial market in North Carolina for about 20 years. So I was doing a whole lot of stuff.
What a great, varied background. And we are so fortunate to have all that expertise now here. So let me dive into a couple of things specifically. So you've done a lot, a big variety of things, but you actually were selling real estate and at the same time educating. But what made you want to leave selling real estate and transition into really full-on education and professional development of other real estate brokers?
So while I was able to develop the image and business of brokers, I realized working at the commission, because I worked in different departments. I worked in legal, I worked in education and licensing. And what I noticed was there was a distinct difference in education, educating the consumer versus educating the broker to educate the consumer. So I felt like taking a shift from developing the agent face value to scale their business, they needed to learn how to stay out of real estate jail. So my love of real estate education and real estate brokers, and also making sure that we have real estate professionals in the industry that do things the way they're supposed to be done, I would say it generally had more to do with them not knowing or having access to the information that they needed to have. So oftentimes I would notice in certain cases where it just looked like something very simple that turned into something really big. And now you are going to be disciplined or sanctioned against the commission in regards to your license. And I felt like maybe if I got into not just teaching the aspect of it, but helping to really get a gauge on them at the initial start of their career, it helps a little bit more.
So LaToya, based on your previous experience and your extensive referral network, what was the deciding factor in choosing CREI over the other opportunities you might have had?
Opportunity? It's so funny because I'm not trying to sound cliche, but when I walked in the building and it had this big display ad jumbotron that said opportunity resides here, that is one of the reasons why I came to Canopy. What I was doing before had a small impact, and maybe a small impact day to day, but the reach and the expansion of the territory to me was what I thought. There was opportunity here that did not exist in other, gigs that I was offered, other opportunities I was offered. I didn't see them necessarily as opportunities. I saw them as a shift in the job or a shift in the career. When it came time for me to decide if I wanted to transition, move my entire life from the Triangle area and move to the Charlotte-Mecklenburg area, a lot of it was not only did I get opportunity to help day to day making small but impactful things with the students that come through the door, I get a chance to help with the instructors to help develop them. I noticed the community here was not just of we're representative of the community, but they actually service. So this association was heavy on community service and philanthropy. And that was something that for me was a great opportunity for me because I'm very clear that we may serve the public when it comes to being a broker, but to service the community was something different. And I felt like coming to Canopy, that's what was offered. And I saw all of it. It wasn't just a career change. It was an opportunity for professional development for me and also for me to help develop professionals.
That's great. I really appreciate that answer. So you've been here you've been here a little over a year.
Yay.
So what would you say is Canopy's best kept secret in terms of the Institute?
So in terms of the Institute, I think the best kept secret is the staff. You would think we had a huge staff because of the huge things that we do day to day and all of the responsibilities that come out of the school with day-to-day operations, but we only have a staff of maybe 5. And out of 5, we support a lot of endeavors. So we not only support the day-to-day operations of the school, we actually have association events that we have to support, outside organizational events as well. So we do internal, external. We support the students. We cater to the instructors. So the best kept secret is the staff,
I don't think I could agree more. Now, let's talk about real estate education and how it's changed over the years.
Sure.
Most recently, during and post the COVID pandemic. And after working for the North Carolina Real Estate Commission for over 20 years, you saw a lot of changes take place in this area on the state level. So what changes stand out in your mind that had a major impact on real estate education post-COVID in North Carolina?
Virtual learning was a game changer. Prior to COVID, North Carolina did not have a digital learning program outside of self-paced distance education, meaning I can go online and take a self-paced course. That was the most we got when it dealt with digital learning. Now you immediately had a shift with education providers who previously didn't have approval to do anything but in-person course offerings. They're now doing synchronous instruction, meaning they're now having to teach live classes virtually. That was something that a lot of education providers weren't ready for. The commission itself wasn't generally ready for it, so they didn't have a lot of rules in place at the time. It was kind of like a learn as you go. But what I did understand is it afforded me an opportunity to work and to build my business, because as an education consultant in the 3 years, I barely left my house. I was able to work with schools, education providers across the state and help them transition virtually online. And understanding that big shift, I understood that there was a type of traditional way of real estate education and how it was being presented. And doing it virtually is totally different. When you're an instructor, you go based off of the energy, the day-to-day, response from the students. You want that live energy feeling. And now I had a bunch of instructors who have been in the business for 20, 30 years going, what in the world? This virtual thing, I have to now share screens. I got to understand the platform. I don't know what's going on. They never really knew how they looked on camera. It was another thing that was a game changer for me was the awareness of instructors to how they really look to the students, because they got a chance to actually see their faces and their appearance when they're talking to the students. And then they saw the students' initial reaction. So that was a huge game changer. But I would say out of everything that I've seen post-COVID, it was the expansion of virtual learning, and everyone had to get on board whether they were ready for it or not.
So true. And like so many other industries, COVID really forced technology changes that might not have ever done, or it might have taken several more years to get to.
Right.
Well, I know you're a big proponent of virtual learning and technology, and you played a major role in getting Canopy's new virtual campus platform off the ground. Can you tell me more about this new platform and why we need to be excited about the Canopy Campus?
Oh, I'm so excited about this project that we've been working on. I was so glad I came in at the time that I came in with Canopy. To create a virtual campus doesn't necessarily take away the live campus experience. What we do is we elevate that member and student experience to take the live instruction and bring it to a virtual platform in a virtual space. So for me, the Canopy Campus is going to serve as a kind of like industrial revolution for real estate education in the state of North Carolina and many other states. I mean, I think when I worked at the commission, we had initially talked about digital learning, transitioning, and I was tasked with communicating with different peer institutions like other real estate commissions in different states. And there were only a selective few that had taken on digital learning and actually were doing well with it.
Wow.
There was this kind of like consensus that going virtually kind of dilutes the education that someone can receive, and that people weren't performing the way they needed to perform online as they would do in a physical classroom with physical day-to-day hand face-to-face direct communication with an instructor. And so this Canopy Campus is going to afford the opportunity not only to give you education when you want, but where you want. I mean, you can literally learn in your house. Now, we don't advise you, because I definitely go into those classes and tell them you better have some clothes on when you come on the camera. But at the same time, brokers are busy. If we're not looking busy, we're busy. And what we do as a broker, you want to make sure that you have time management skills. And so you also have these requirements that are called continuing education requirements, educational requirements that require you to take education throughout the year. And so being able to be in the middle of an open house and say, you know what, I got 4 hours. I need to take my education. Let me go back to the office real quick, get on my computer and take it, versus having to go way across town, sit in traffic, and then run the opportunity of missing that 20 minutes that you're only allowed in a real estate CE class. It gives you the accessibility and accommodation that don't even see coming. So I think that is a revolutionary type project for Canopy to even be considering, because I haven't seen it done across the state yet. So I'm glad that we're, being proactive about it and getting in front of it. It's very forward thinking.
Well, I'm excited about it and can't wait to see it unfold. Mm-hmm. I'm glad you pointed out that even though you can take advantage of this, you should not be multitasking, that you really need to focus on whatever class you're taking.
Yes, we got rules now.
Yes. So elaborating more on the campus, what would someone who's thinking about a career in real estate do or find most helpful with this new virtual platform?
Well, we all want to feel a part of something and feel like we're not just paying our money to show up and warm a seat. I think with the Canopy Campus launch, with the curated tools and features that this Thinkific platform affords people, which is our virtual platform that we're using to host the Canopy Campus, I think what it does is it gives you an opportunity. One of the opportunities is record keeping. For years working at the commission, I would get people say, I don't know what happened to my course completion certificate. I have no idea when I completed something. I'm looking at my CE record and this doesn't match up to what I have on my calendar as having completed my CE. Well, guess what? You got a customized portal now. So now, no longer are you having to weed through emails and figure out, let me sort back 5 years to find my information. You literally have your own virtual locker, a virtual locker for your real estate education. So as a broker throughout your entire career, you will see the courses that you've been able to take. You don't necessarily have to go log on to the commission website to see them. You will be able to have access to the courses that you completed. For 30 days, you have outside of the course completion, you get 30 days of extra access to your course materials, just in case you didn't download it or just in case you didn't have a printed copy. Some of the tools and features within the campus helps to incrementalize your studying and your step-by-step process to your course. By that, I mean, you have lessons that are broken down. So you get a chance to see the welcoming when you come in. You get a chance to have access to the Zoom link where you don't have to go through and look at an email external and try to find the link. And now you're 5 minutes late to class because you couldn't find it. You immediately go into your course portal that is customized just for you, solely based off of unique identifier, which is your MLS number or your student number. And you can go there as many times as need be to get your information. And not only that, you click the button and you're right in your Zoom room. That's where your instructor and all the other students are waiting for. So I think some of the features that I think should be highlighted with the Canopy Campus is not just the campus itself and the virtual platform that we have for you to go into a class, but we got a calendar feature that is literally needed when sifting through courses and checking things. I mean, visually, it is so much more intuitive and user-friendly. The Canopy calendar is where you would then register for your courses. So you no longer have to go through and hit our website, go through a portal through Ramco. You literally can go on this calendar, pick the day and time of when a course is being offered. You can search and filter a topic. So if you're in commercial real estate and you are basically like, everything I see is residential, you type in commercial CE and boom, there you have it. If you have a specific instructor that you're looking for, boom, you have it. So not only is the Canopy Campus the virtual locker for you, you actually have an immediate calendar of things that are happening. And once we, evolve, we'll evolve into other things. But for now, the course registration is imperative. And that calendar makes it so much easier and accessible for you to do that in real time.
That's great. So that question was about somebody thinking about a career in real estate. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of what you just said applies to even veteran realtors and what they need to know about the campus. So what would veteran realtors need to know about the campus that differs from how they completed their real estate education in the past?
Ooh, that's a good question, because as a veteran broker, most brokers tend to take their CE during the height of the CE season. Why is that? Because that's the time they have to get in their car, travel to take a class. You no longer have to do that. So you can get your continuing education done way early. If you're a provisional broker and you need to take that post-licensing, you can get that done way early. You don't necessarily have to wait the full 18 months. So knowing now that your in-person networking that happened in the live classroom, you actually have the opportunity now to have a wider range of referral network. By that, I mean, most of the time when you're going in person to instruction, you're going to local people. Local people are coming to your classes. With virtual learning and virtual platforms, you are able to come into a classroom with people who may not necessarily even be in your MLS that can also be a referral network for you as a student. You have access to chat with them in the chat, because we're using the Zoom platform as, to facilitate the courses. So opportunity is always there. And that's not being facetious. Opportunity is always there. It really broadens your range of who you have access to in the state of North Carolina when it comes to licensees. You generally, in person, as a veteran instructor, have been traditionally going in locally, referring people, locally networking with people. Now you can network with people from across the state of North Carolina because you have more people who have access to this virtual platform. So they're more than likely to come to Canopy to take a course, where, as before, they couldn't drive 3-4 hours to a class.
Good point. Kind of expanding on what you originally said about expanding on opportunities.
Yes,
for sure. So I know you're in the final stages of testing Canopy Campus. Tell us a little more about Canopy Campus and how you and the CREI team have designed an education platform to elevate the student experience, and what feedback you've gotten so far from the students that have participated in the test courses.
Ooh, we've gotten great feedback. For some reason, when people start to work on a technology platform, we tend to feel like, oh, it's going to fail because there's some glitch that's going to happen. It's actually been easier and more intuitive for the students to utilize, which was shocking to me because I thought they were going to need a little bit more handholding or maybe a separate orientation to even get on the campus. It's very intuitive. Everything is just there with a click, and all they do is just generally click. Initially when they first came on to the campus, because we have unique features, like right now with the calendar, they actually will get a QR code. This is something that a lot of people don't know. You get a personal QR code, and I want to make sure I have this right. It's an integrated feature that's a display of your personal user QR code, which you can save to your phone's wallet. Whether you have an iPhone or Android, it is compatible to both. So with that QR code, you can be checked into your in-person class via phone, and you're just clicking on it. So it gives so much accessibility convenience, ease. I mean, everything within the Canopy Campus is just not just elevates the experience of the member, but even the instructors. Because it's like herding cats, when you're physically teaching a class, you're running through trying to find people, but you know that you have 10-minute breaks and now you got to be back. So guess what we know? The cameras are on. We know when the cameras are not. When you're in a physical live class, you got to do the head count. You got to look at the roster and figure out, is that person here or there? You don't have to do all that when you're virtually hosting a course as an instructor. You literally look at the screen. We have course monitors that also track attendance there. So it makes the class a little bit more ease and navigable online. But that extra feature of having a personal QR code is a definite benefit that I don't think students even saw coming. So once that gets implemented, that's going to be really key. The test courses never had exposure to that because the calendar itself was still being worked on. They felt like, wow. So they came earlier. I was shocked. I really thought we were going to be dealing with people coming in, struggling in late because they had to get through the course modules. They had to go through all the reading. And, there's always this little thing of, brokers don't read, whatever. No, they had to read because in order for them to get to the next course module, they had to know what was on the first course module. So to see them be able to be prepared to come in, and they were early for class. And then when they came into class, they were greeted, particularly by the company that is helping us. They were greeted with music. They had just a definite experience that they hadn't dealt with before. So they really were ready to learn. What I also found was because the evaluation forms are within their course portal, we had more people filling them out. That was another advantage of doing a virtual campus and putting it in someone's particular course player to customize it. Because some people, I don't know what it is, but I think there was apprehension about filling out an evaluation form if someone's coming by to collect them. So some people didn't fill out the evaluation form. We had more people fill out those evaluation forms because nobody was standing over them and nobody was physically there. They literally submitted online because they just click a link within their course player and evaluate the course, and they can do it in real time. So that, along with the course completion certificate, they get a notification saying, hey, your course completion certificate is ready. Guess what? Some people would go print it out before, carry it. They were given it in class and then they would lose it. This campus, virtual campus, affords you the opportunity to house your course completion certificates as well. So you're keeping an education track record of your professional development and training as a broker.
There are so many efficiencies built in, and It really does sound like those efficiencies will lead to taking Canopy Real Estate Institute to the next level. Mm-hmm. Very exciting. Is there anything else you would like new or seasoned brokers to know about the Institute and or the campus?
I think the new and veteran brokers, the potential for the campus to grow with its features as we launch and figure out, what we need, you get a chance to really build communities within the campus. That was something that initially, when we brought the project on and started working with it, we didn't know it had that capability. People tend to utilize social media and external platform. This actually has the potential to build an internal social interface with engaging communities. Instructors will love that feature. One of the reasons is because right now, most instructors, unless they build their own community within a Facebook group or whatever, they don't really know how to contain the information and monitor the information that's being disseminated, in the public. And that was one of the things, if you notice the commission with some of the articles, social media has become one of those things, becoming a pain point for a lot of the regulatory agencies, because you have brokers that have access to information that new brokers didn't have. And they're sharing that information, and some of that information being shared is supposed to be secured, especially with exam items and things like that. I think having the possibility of being able to build a direct, engaged community within the platform for containment purposes, but not only that, for students to have the opportunity to communicate with the instructor back and forth, for them to be able to communicate with brokers in their classes back and forth if they're struggling for something. In regards to studying for exams or studying for a particular topic, they can create their own study hall, within the campus. It has so much potential. Just the career development. I think I want to say the Canopy Campus will become a career development hub for Canopy students and Canopy members.
That is great. And I think the word that kept resonating with me is the potential and
it has so much potential.
It's
so much potential.
So speaking of potential, are there any specific or thought out upcoming projects that the Real Estate Institute is working on that we should be excited about other than this new virtual campus or part of the virtual campus?
Well, what the staff has learned is I'm such an incubator of ideas that sometimes some of my ideas can be a bit out there and that it may not be plausible at the time. But I would love, and I have brought, as part of a communication and conversation with some of the staff for this campus, is to really think about how do we engage and expand in other states. One of the things is we do provide some course offerings in South Carolina in regard, but they're very limited. This will provide us opportunity to be able to do that in real time and in such an efficient and streamlined way that generally you wouldn't have been able to have. Also, we are definitely looking into being able to diversify the course offerings. Having a virtual platform affords us access to national speakers and national designations where we're doing designations. And certifications, we have an opportunity to expand the designations and certifications now because every national speaker now is on a virtual platform. Prior to that, some speakers would probably have to fly in, stay 2-3 days,
True.
Had that expense. Now we can hire them, from their house to teach a class and to teach things that are especially, specialization courses. I think what also it did was widening the possibility of other brokers thinking of getting licensed in other states. And if, in fact, we would be able to accommodate them with that. And I think South Carolina being a border state, we got Virginia being a border state. We have a few that were border states that back in the day, we had reciprocal licensing agreements with. We no longer do. It still will allow us to reach out to brokers in other states that have North Carolina licensing. They can take courses now with us because they don't have to physically come across the state line to take the course. They can go through this virtual platform. So I think we will expand our student base. We will expand in regards to professional development and training. So long gone will be the days where you just want to come in and take a CE class and that's all the education you think you need for the year. We want to help you scale your business, leverage your business, and grow professionally and not just be a broker, but be a real estate professional that's built to last. And that's what Canopy's doing now. We're building careers not just for brokers. We're building careers for real estate professionals, and they're going to be built to last regardless of what cycle we're in the real estate industry.
That's great. And knowing that Canopy MLS is in North and South Carolina,
Yes.
I'm looking forward to the day when
Yes.
it is seamless for our members, whether they're in North Carolina or South Carolina, and have a license in one or both of those states in order to get more education. And that would be through us, through the Canopy Real Estate Institute.
I love it. I love that plug, too, because I thought about the number of people when I worked in licensing at the Real Estate Commission that did not get licenses in other states because they didn't feel like it was accessible to be able to keep up with the educational requirements. Now that we have a virtual platform and with the expansion of Canopy going into so many different areas and stuff, you have the possibility of people rethinking their business. And they're thinking not just localizing their business, but making it national and global. And you can do that through a virtual experience. I mean, you literally can watch an actual auction of a real live commercial property being auctioned online internationally. You have the possibility of doing that. So it's affording us the opportunity to take a look at our curriculum as well and see what are we offering now that could be on a greater scale, open up more for other, students that necessarily weren't members of Canopy, but would like to take courses here because we're offering a very curriculum with different topics that they generally wouldn't be able to find somewhere else. I think there's a lot of good things coming out of the Institute in the next few years. And we had a very sound base. I came in to a school that had an extreme sound base and foundation. And all I'm doing is coming to try to take it, to the next level. That's it.
Well, that's exciting. And based on all the things we've talked about today, it does sound like Canopy Real Estate Institute will continue to provide for and anticipate the real estate education needs of professional development for realtors, whether new to the industry or even veteran brokers. So since the inception of Mingle School and Canopy Real Estate Institute, our motto has always been, let our experience be your teacher. And I'm glad to see we are still living up to it. That is all we have time for today. LaToya, thank you so much for being here today with me. And thank you for making all that you do for the students and the experience they're having here at the Canopy Real Estate Institute first class. And I hope our listeners learned a lot. And if you're considering a career in real estate, or if you already are in real estate, let your first call be to the Canopy Real Estate Institute for your education needs. So to learn more about us, go to canopyrealestateinstitute.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie.
You're listening to Inside the Canopy Files, a production of Canopy Realtor Association. Canopy Realtor Association is a trade association that provides more than 16,000 realtor members with the resources and services they need to conduct ethical, professional, successful, and profitable businesses. The association is dedicated to being the region's primary resource for the residential real estate information and owns and operates Canopy MLS, which has more than 20,000 subscribers and is the private cooperative realtors use for access to tens of thousands of residential listings in a 24-county service area, including Charlotte, the mountains area of North Carolina, South Carolina, and beyond. And we want to hear from you. Please visit us at canopyrealtors.com and connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Canopy Realtor, and listen to our podcast on your favorite platform. And hey, give us a 5-star rating. Send us your feedback and comments to president@canopyrealtors.com. Thanks again for listening to Inside the Canopy Files. We'll see you next time. Inside the Canopy Files is produced by Canopy's Marketing and Communications Department and Andy Go of Gojo Studios.